Howdy folks, hope you're all having a good one, and welcome back to World of Warships with Rear Admiral Jingles, where today, Wunderkraut in the, sorry, I love that name, I suspect he may be German, is going to be having an extremely short, sharp, and very violent battle in this mostly Tier 9 domination ranked battle here on the Northern Lights map. You can see he has his New Year camo scheme there. I must admit, I'm not a huge fan of it. I have a couple of those camo schemes myself, but I have yet to put them on a single ship. In fact, I think I may have sold them. I mean, let's face it, since Wargaming removed any economic or gameplay benefits from actually putting a camo on your ship, the only thing they're good for is selling. Anyway, since, once again, this replay is bugged, you can't actually see what's on the enemy team. I can tell you that, just for a change, the matchmaker has decided that both teams deserve to have a radar cruiser. Wunderkraut's team have a Baltimore, the enemy team have I think, a Buffalo. We'll see as the match develops. For those of you who are wondering what the hell that is, the Velos, that's a Greek Fletcher, I think. You know, I've had this issue in World of Tanks for, at least 4 or 5 years now, where I just don't know what the tanks are anymore. Because there's so much made up of bullshit in World of Tanks. You play any World of Tanks battle, and I guarantee you there'll be at least one tank in the battle that you've never heard of and you don't know what it is. And I'm almost sort of getting to that stage now in World of Warships. I mean, not really so much with the Velos over there, because a lot of Fletcher-class destroyers were transferred to the Greek Navy post-World War II. So that thing did actually exist. But I saw a Jaeger in a battle that I watched just today. I was like, what the hell is that? I had to go and look it up. The bizarre thing was it was a Tier 9 destroyer based on an Austro-Hungarian 2,000-ton destroyer concept from 1917. They put it in at Tier 9. Yeah, anyway, on with the battle. So the Fantask has been spotted, which is bad news because the Georgia's secondaries are kind of hilarious. Surprisingly, bearing in mind that that's a French destroyer and it doesn't have a smoke screen and its only real defense against getting shot at is its very, very good speed, he was stationary. Although he has started his engines up now. Is he trying to slow down? Is he trying to stay inside the cap circle? I think he is. I mean, you know, it's a noble aim, but it's not worth losing your ship over, which it will be because you don't have a smoke screen and there's radar. The Fantask really should have been getting out of there. It looks like he's actually going to get away with it, though. But while the Fantask finally engages his brain and beats a very hasty retreat, and does in fact get away with it, let's just quickly talk about the USS Georgia, the ship that Wunderkraut is sailing. And I'm sure most of you are probably aware of the details of this ship, but for the benefit of those of you who aren't, and I'll try to keep this short, the Georgia is a very fast battleship armed with 18-inch guns. Doesn't have a lot of them, only 6. But unlike other battleships that are only armed with 6 guns, yes, Gneisenau, we're talking about you again, the Georgia tends to actually hit what it fires those guns at. It also has extremely good secondaries, and as already mentioned, it's pretty quick for a battleship with a very good base speed, which can be supplemented with the addition of a speed boost, which makes it extremely quick for short bursts. Wow, the Fantask just got himself spotted. He's just begging to be killed, isn't he? But he's going to get away with it again. Right. Oh yes, there we can see the salvo from the Buffalo there. Multiple fires, he's blown the damage control on that. Oh, the Frederick the Great though. Well, let's get that broadside punished. 18-inch guns, by the way. Extremely heavy and hard-hitting armor-piercing shells, which disappointingly did almost nothing. The Fantask keeps getting respotted. Wunderkraut's secondaries actually knocked his engine out there, but once again the Fantask gets away with it. And Wunderkraut is radared. That will be the enemy Buffalo. Now the radar isn't much of an issue for him because there's not really much that can shoot at him and he was spotted anyway, but it's going to be a big problem for the Velos, who was trying to hide in a smoke screen from the enemy destroyer on this flank, the Jutland. Oh, the Prinz Ruprecht just got spanked good and hard by somebody, and you know, 18-inch guns, super heavy armor-piercing shells. You expect to see bigger numbers than this. I mean, his secondaries are stacking up the hits, and the Prinz Ruprecht is not particularly well armoured either, but, well, the Prinz Ruprecht secondaries are stacking up the hits on him. And there's the Jutland. Unlike the Velos, which is basically a Fletcher and has a very long duration smoke screen, the Jutland with its British smoke, well, it gets a lot of charges and a short cooldown, but they only last, I'm not entirely sure how long, but barely more than a minute. Right, good news, bad news. The team did just lose their Asashio, but the Velos managed to sink the enemy Buffalo, so there's no longer a radar threat. There is very much definitely a torpedo threat, however, because the Jutland clocked Wunderkraut right before it popped that second smoke, so he's not wasting any time getting out of the way of those torpedoes and turning and angling his ship against the Frederick the Great. He is, of course, constantly spotted, which allows the Jutland, from the comfort and safety of its short duration smoke screen, to start stacking up some more high explosive damage. And for a second there I was wondering, why is he abandoning his smoke? Well, he's abandoning his smoke for a couple of very good reasons. One, it's a British smoke screen, so it's already expiring, and two, as we all know, smoke screens are torpedo magnets, and the Velos did empty its torpedoes into that smoke screen, so the Jutland got out of there while the getting was good. That was actually quite a smart move. Meanwhile, you can see the blue tracer flying overhead, which means that the Velos, that is the Velos by the way, has some kind of legendary captain on board, and he's focusing his fire and trying to get fire set on the Frederick the Great. Meanwhile, over on the other flank, the Baltimore finally nails that pesky Fantask, putting Wunderkraut's team ahead by 1 kill, although they are behind by 1 cap circle. However, with the elimination of the Fantask, and if you look at the minimap, and we'll see him in person in a moment, the enemy Prinz Ruprecht sailing right through that cap circle and chasing the friendly Pommern down here to the south. The 2 heavy cruisers on the team, the Baltimore and the Drake, should be able to flip that central cap at Charlie and put the team ahead 1 cap circle as well. It looks like the Drake's trying to do that. The Baltimore, however, I think may have just overextended. There he is, the Prinz Ruprecht. The only reason that nobody is shooting at Wunderkraut in the Georgia and finishing him off is that a far, far juicier target in the shape of the Pommern just turned up. And while they all finish kicking that Pommern to death, Wunderkraut's going to take the opportunity to get the ship turned around and get the guns pointed out and shooting at that Prinz Ruprecht, because that guy needs to die. Sure enough, the Pommern's dead, but the Prinz Ruprecht has been taken care of, which eliminates the threat to Wunderkraut's flank. Now, you would think that with the Pommern eliminated, those guys up to the north would be refocusing their fire on Wunderkraut, particularly when he executes this turn, exposing a big fat juicy broadside to all of their really big guns. And yet they're not. In fact, it looks like the Frederick the Great is shooting across the map at the 2 heavy cruisers. It's a bit like shutting the barn door after the horse has bolted, because the Drake has already flipped that central cap circle. But as long as he... oh, there goes one of his gun turrets and a substantial chunk of his health as well. But as long as that Frederick the Great is focused on shooting at angled cruisers, Wunderkraut and the Velos are both going to make hay while the sun shines. The Jutland just popped up again. I don't know if he was radar. No, it wasn't radar, he just started shooting at people. That's fine. Secondary's focused on the Jutland. The Velos has now switched fire to the Jutland, who is returning fire at the Velos. Jutland, of course, probably still has a couple of charges of smoke left, because it does get a lot of them. And it looks like the Frederick the Great has finally realised that the biggest threat to his continued existence is actually Wunderkraut here. But any opportunity that he had to paddle Wunderkraut's exposed broadside has been completely wasted while he was shooting at those 2 angled heavy cruisers. And to make matters worse, he's now giving broadside to Wunderkraut and takes 10,000 damage for his efforts. I mean, you're never going to Citadel of Frederick the Great, German battleship, turtleback armour scheme and all that, but that looked like it hurt. Wunderkraut resisting momentarily the opportunity to get that rear turret firing and exposing... I mean, you know, he is still pretty well angled. The firing angles on the Georgia are pretty good. But then realising, nah, what the hell, I'm getting focused down anyway. In for a penny, in for a pound. Chicks dig scars, glory lasts forever, may as well go for it. At least that's what I assume he was thinking. It's not going to work out that way, as the Frederick the Great continues to give broadside. And dies. The Jutland smokescreen dissipates, the secondaries instantly start pounding him, as does the Velos, of course. The Ignacio is also giving broadside. Oh, he's going to regret that, although not for long. And there's the double strike. And... go gadget secondaries. Yep. And he gets the Jutland too. That was 4 kills, by the way. There were only 6 ships on the enemy team to begin with. Double strike there against the Frederick the Great and the Ignacio. Technically, I mean, if such a thing existed, that should have probably been a triple strike, because I'm fairly sure he got the Jutland within 10 seconds of killing the Ignacio as well. So, Wunderkraut in the USS Georgia. 4 kills when there were only 6 ships to shoot at, 150,000 damage, pretty much all of the awards. Dude, slow down and give the rest of your team a chance. But extremely well done all the same. And I hope you all enjoyed watching it, because that's it for today. As always, take care, and I'll catch you next time.